What questions or inquiries from a potential strategic partner surprised you the most during the procurement process?
Hi, I'm going to address that on as for recovery audit solution. It is unbelievable to me sometimes when we're called in, and even at the highest level, that individuals don't understand the data they're accountable for, whether it be claims, medical ratio, or how it actually has a downstream effect to a process. That to me is a little surprising.
Christine, if I could just use that as a springboard, when I left the industry, I was incredibly disappointed in many of the quality of many of the leaders that are running organizations in the industry for their lack of understanding of operations, their environment, the people they're serving, how to best get them served, and what are the key pain points. Very disappointed.
Yeah, as long as I've been in the industry, to your point, Barry, it's very surprising to me for folks that are as senior as I am in the process that they don't quite always understand what they're accountable for.
Which is funny. So it leads to the question, Christine, when you're in that situation, how do you sell a solution to an individual or organization that doesn't even know they have a problem?
So great point. For us, what we need to always do, Justin, is take the data. The data drives our focus. So we'll take all the data, we sit down, we go through all that. We have 10 to 15 primary questions we'll go through with the client to even understand what the client's looking for. Sometimes what they think they're looking for is not really what they actually are looking for. So you have to kind of peel away the process and learn with them as you're going through that. And where you started out from and where you end up, sometimes are two totally different places.
Yeah. Qualification.
This is Gary from Command. One of the things that when I think about questions that are asked, I really think more about the questions that aren't asked. My company handles a lot of communications, print, mail, email, and one of the health plan's biggest expense is postage. And it's usually something that's ignored. They'll bid out so many items that are production oriented and not really paying attention to something that costs more than all of it, which is having a strategy around something like postage or some of the more, just embedded budget items that we all see that are just kind of accepted. But usually those are where I find the best opportunities are. I find that most clients don't ask those questions, and that's where that value can come in, is helping them to ask those questions. So I don't know if anybody has these types of arrangements where you have to almost ask the question on behalf of your client, because most of the times I find that is where the most value is.
Yeah, this is Jeanette McClennan from McClennan Group, and we're an innovation digital agency. And I do find that our leaning towards thought leadership, bringing experience in from other verticals, we find a way to tag on to what you're saying, Gary, asking questions, bringing ideas forward that maybe they're not asking. Is a great way to raise their confidence level in you, along with, as we stated in the other question, being able to substantiate performance, whether it's ROI or just simply other metrics.
Yeah, and I find that most of us that are, in the small to mid-size range need to do that to provide credibility. It's part of answering questions that maybe some of the large competitors don't even need to ask, because it's just they've already built that credibility. So yeah, 100%.
The tricky part behind doing that, and Christine and I can share experience, is as you identify operating challenges in an organization and operation improvement opportunities, the person who's currently in charge of them can feel ultimately threatened by what you've identified. And in embracing them and bringing them in and discovering the problem together is a far more beneficial approach than pointing out the obvious.
Yep.
You're absolutely correct, Barry. And
This
it
is
doesn't matter, it matters more that you're able to resolve the problem than who actually identified the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Along those same lines, this is Spike from Evolve. One strategy that we do in our initial proposal is, as Gary and Jeanette both mentioned, bringing to the forefront some of these questions that aren't asked. We list that in our proposal to our potential customer, and we lay it out because we know that proposal is going to be reviewed by many different eyes and ears. And it could be it could be individuals that Barry had just mentioned where they feel intimidated or threatened because we're coming in to potentially replace their job or to help fix what they're not doing. But by laying it out right up front, it kind of shows that credibility and helps to break down a few of those barriers with a whole bunch of other things listed, like the value add and the ROI that we're trying to propose to them just right off the bat. Here's our contracting package. This is what we can do for you, and here's our credibility at the same time. So,
yeah,
this is Faith
that's
with Ms. Oh, I'm so sorry, Michael.
No, go ahead, Faith.
This is Faith with Mazars, and really along the same vein, it's being thoughtful about the language that's being used, not just in the proposal itself, but your interactions, right? And what we've found is using simple terms as supportive versus identifying and coming in as an auditor or an assessor. It's how do we work with you and your team to identify opportunities for improvement and support you, whether it's our team directly that's resolving it or we're making a referral to a partner in the industry that we know can do and resolve this issue for you well.
That's a good point. And another thing to what Spike said, I think is important is the right person that you're talking with, right? So if you're talking to someone who has built an entire department and hired all the people and created everything that they're doing, and you're coming in to try to replace that person that's in charge of all that may not be the right person to talk to, because if it's a play of saving money or improving efficiencies, they may be protective of their realm that they built, and you really need to talk to a CFO or somebody who's really more open to changing things, even if it means downsizing or eliminating positions, things like that. Because I've spent some time in my career trying to sell to the wrong people, who are protecting their realm that they built. So anyway, that's kind of part of it.
The one thing I wanted to add to this part of the discussion, this is David Finney from Leap Orbit. We're a provider data management company. Is that especially in the sort of enterprise technology space, people want to try before they buy, or they want to try small before they try big. And so we've really worked hard to try to come up with a bunch of different flavors of kind of proof of concept or proof of value, preferably paid, so that the customer has skin in the game. But we've also found getting through all the procurement paperwork and becoming a vendor that's got paper with a health plan is part of the battle. It makes it easier for them to do more things for you. And so when you've done that first thing, even if it's not the core thing that they ultimately really need, it's a good way to kind of form the beachhead and expand the relationship.